Okay. You ready?
It's right. It's already.
Oh, it's already started? Okay. Good morning, everybody. Thank you all for attending our council meeting. Let's get our meeting started. Councilman Turner is going to offer our invocation this morning, and then we will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for enabling us to gather here for this meeting. May we have meaningful discussions that will help us to build each other up and glorify your name. Help us to discuss business that will benefit all of us and draw people to the kingdom. Help us to deal with different challenges that we are facing as a team. May we approach each other with respect and kindness. Lord, create an environment of cooperation in this place to help us be in one spirit. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of
the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Bruce. That was a nice invocation. All right, we're going to start off with the approval by minutes from our June 27th special call council meeting. I'll need a motion to approve these minutes.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Dan.
Second.
Thank you, Jim. Any discussion? All in favor of approving the June 27th minutes, signify with aye.
Aye.
All right. The minutes are approved. All right, adoption of our agenda. I'll need a motion to adopt our agenda.
So moved.
Thank you, Bruce.
Second.
Thank you, Dan. Any discussion? All right, all in favor of adopting today's agenda, signify with aye.
Aye.
Okay, it was unanimous. The agenda is adopted. Okay, mayoral and council remarks. I just wanted to talk about our Independence Day event. I think it was fantastic. The weather was great. The crowds were wonderful. All the events were fabulous. And a big thank you goes to the Special Projects Committee members, which Bruce is in charge of, and also our wonderful citizen volunteers. Everywhere that I have been the last week or so, people have talked about how fabulous it was. It was the best yet. Our parade was great. And everybody loved the new children's activities. That was a big hit. So thank you all to Public Works. The Hot Dog Cafe was great. Thank you all for everything, and it was great. And I know you all already started planning for next year.
And thank you, Sharon, for getting the volunteers.
Yeah.
That was a big
Plus, yeah,
plus
yeah.
for us having volunteers, because in the past have been somewhat chaotic with
Yeah.
events, so.
It was great. And I love the shirts too, so you can pick them out.
Mhm.
That was-
Fluorescent green.
Anybody else, council, need to say anything?
I'd just like to point out that the fireworks were excellent.
Oh, yes, they were. I love the new ones. The smiley faces were kind of cool. Do you think we can get them to spell out Sky Valley next year?
You get drones?
Intro.
You'd have to get drones.
Yeah,
Checks they can have true.
yeah, they have to check big enough.
Well, Holly, on the fireworks, there's a fellow at church said that he lives in the Disney area, so he can see their fireworks. He said these fireworks were as good, if not better, than anything he's seen down there.
Oh, cool.
So
There you go.
whatever they did this year, this is the first year I missed it. I was beat, but I've heard everybody saying
They
it was just
were
incredible.
fantastic. It was fantastic.
They're using some bigger shells than normal. It kind of increases the cost a little bit. They go a little bit taller, a bigger boom, but that's probably helping some.
Yes, it was wonderful. Okay. All right, Jason, if you will present your city manager report at this time.
Madam Mayor, good morning, everybody. In the audience, online. To echo the mayor, I just want to thank everybody, staff, volunteers, time sheriff, fire department, everyone who attended and helped make the annual Independence Day amazing. The PO breakfast was delicious, the gun race was great. Parade was the largest that I can remember, at least since I've been here. And as Council Turner said, the fireworks were awesome and the weather could not have been better. This time of year is always kind of another indicator that we're full on in the summertime, everything going on, our busy time of year. I want to use this opportunity, as I've done in the past, to remind people that to look out for our public works staff, because they're out cutting grass, doing things, pothole patching, leaf blowing, garbage collection, etc. Water related matters, many times they're involved with heavy equipment, noisy moving parts. They are watching out for you, but they're also watching out for what you're doing. So please help do your part. Just make sure that safety is job one. As always, I'd like to talk a little bit about utilities, taxes, permits, finances. We are looking at ways, I touched on this, I think in a previous meeting, we're looking at some ways to, that folks can pay and receive bills, to include email, paying via smartphone, text, etc. We're working out those kinks. We hope to be rolling that out very soon. City financials, we're a little over halfway through the calendar / fiscal year. We should be tracking around 56%. Right now, we're at 57%. So for all intents and purposes, we're on track. Water funds, a little over 60. A lot of that just rising costs. We just had the audit report done. There should be no secret there. Insurance, workers' comp, property liability, supplies, materials, etc., continue to go up. And we've had a few expenditures like the flow meters, etc. That's kind of thrown to that. Garbage, about 58% again on track, around the 56%. On the revenue, we're monitoring that pretty closely. Things are looking pretty good. I'm trending out that we may finish out the year about 96%. So what does that mean, real dollars? Probably about $70,000. So with that being said, we're continuing to monitor expenditures. I'm going to be working closely with our staff, our department heads, to try to see if we can maybe reduce our expenditures by about 4% to offset that. So nothing to panic about, but just a certain note. We are in the process of transitioning to Black Mountain software for our property tax module. We use them for accounting. We've had a very good relationship with them for about 10 years now. And I think this is going to help streamline, plus it's going to be a little less than our current software provider, QS1. We are getting close to that time of year that we're going to be getting into the 26th budget year. I suspect we'll be getting the consolidation report from the county any day in the week now. It's interesting to see how that looks as far as the gross values. Of course, if we use that to build the budget, as the mayor may have mentioned, I believe in the audit report that I'm looking to probably present 2 budgets for you all later this year. One, if the T-Splosh passes, one if it does not. So again, from an education standpoint, let's hope that continues to go well, and we'll certainly be able to continue if the voters agree. The dash cams and GPS that I talked about in the last meeting, that equipment is in. We're just waiting on the installer to come in. That's an investment that we're doing. That's going to help, I think, with our officer safety, those dash cams, GPS to help monitor again our vehicles. A lot of our guys are out doing things. They're using equipment. It's good to know where they're at. Sometimes we don't have radio communication. There are some spotty places, so it's just another way to try to invest in our safety and promote efficiency and accountability. There will be a P&Z meeting the last Tuesday of this month for a setback variance. that information will be forthcoming as it's being advertised and et cetera. We're still waiting comments from the county for the annexation request that you should be receiving. Today is just the first reading and introduction, so it's not really critical that we have that. We will absolutely have to have something from them by the next meeting date in August, which will be the second reading and adoption. I don't foresee any issues. I know they've had some turnover, I think, on their development planning side, and I have spoken with some of the county staff and reps, and they should have us something booked by the next meeting date in August. And then finally, I want to say that Steve Shields, who is our risk management rep, he comes about every 3 years. As you all may recall, I think around 22, he came in, spent the day with us. There were some corrections and things from taking out the in-ground cans to the vehicle replacement policy we had to do with the police department, stop signs, all of those type of things. That's what Steve does. He kind of comes in, it kind of goes in, it all kind of works with our insurance and things like that. So we're ready, and we're doing everything we can to be prepared. He'll spend the day with us and kind of go around, and I'm pleased, or I'm hoping he will be pleased by the improvements that we made since his last meeting. But
Jason, were there any other suggestions that he?
there was a couple of suggestions. Some of it had to do with our personnel policy. We talked about that. I've given that information to our city attorney. I'm gonna follow with him and see where that's at. But the biggest thing, the safety things, we've addressed those, the stop signs, the vehicle replacement policy for the police department vehicles, in-ground cans was a biggie. There were some safety things. We had a couple of our water tanks, the ladders that they had to climb. One of them was missing a locking system that's been replaced. But by and large, the stop signs, they had to reflect the height of the signs. As you all recall, we kind of went through a campaign a year or so ago. We swapped out a lot of that. So anyway, Steve will be coming in. I'm sure that he'll have some things that we need to do. Of course, that's his job to find those things. And I'll certainly look to be bringing you a report in August. And
Who does he work for?
he is with he works in partnership with ACCG and GMA, which is the Georgia Municipal Association and the Association of County Commissioners of Georgia. I've known Steve probably over 20 years, 25 years, and like I said, he's the risk management guy. He just kind of comes in and he kind of gives us insights on things we need to do to try to reduce our risk, hopefully reduce our premiums on our insurance and workers' comp, et cetera. So again, we take those things seriously, and looking forward to seeing. Hopefully, when I revisit this in August, there won't be much to discuss. So I'll let you know from there. But other than that, Madam Mayor, Council,
Any other
that's all I have.
questions or comments for Jason? Anybody online, questions or comments?
Not that they've let me know.
I will go ahead and,
Department report.
well, I was, Jerry Show, our public works manager, called me this morning. He apologized. As the saying goes, you gotta make hay while the sun's shining. They're taking advantage of the beautiful weather that we're having, and they're up to their eyeballs in projects. But I know that we've had some citizens have raised some concerns about Bayberry and Red Wolf. And they're looking at that, and we should be doing some work there next week with that. But again, they're just wide open. They were hoping to do some pothole patching, and he apologized, but he said just the things are doing good. I know that.
3 of our trucks passed me this morning, coming here this morning.
You know, we have had lots of compliments over Independence Day about how well the city looks.
Right.
Those guys worked extremely hard every day they do. Certainly last week, try to get everything ready.
Yeah.
So
They also cleaned up so quickly. That was amazing. They worked hard.
With as many people that were in town, it was phenomenal. that you had to look hard to find any garbage.
Yeah, they did a great job.
So, but yeah, they're, again, they apologize, but they're out making hay while the sun's shining.
Our grandstand announcer, I forgot to thank him too. He did a wonderful job also. That Mr. Allred.
Yeah, it was a
to his head.
very, very, very good event. I don't think I had one person say anything disparaging about things. I think everybody was pleased, as the mayor said.
One more thing, Jason.
Yes, ma'am.
Jason's daughter was who sang the national anthem. She did.
She nailed it.
She did great. And many people have asked who that professional singer was. So pass that on to her, Jason.
Yeah, that was kind of a last minute thing, but she was willing to step up and do that, and my other daughter Abigail Addy, she was down in the creek pulling out, she was fishing out the ducks. Everybody gets put to work in this family, so anyway, they love it, but
Yeah.
anyway, but it was a good event.
All right. So do we need to have Mr. Piper next? Oh, excuse me, go ahead.
I thought the city looked better this 4th of July, better prepared in terms of mowing and all of that stuff than it has in recent memory. And so,
Everybody did a great
job well done on that. And just to clarify, there was an issue on Red Wolf and Bayberry, and that was potholes,
Well, there's some drainage things going on, Red Wolf is not paved.
right?
And we've been doing some work over the years, but it needs some attention. I mean,
Okay.
it's something that we've been aware of it. It's just trying to program that in. And we've had some citizens reach out to us recently about that. And I just wanted to state for the record that we are working on that,
Okay,
Jerry and the guys have a plan. In fact, they may be up there today working on that.
okay, thank you.
But all the roads, but we're constantly looking at everything,
Yeah.
but just, that's something as of recent that's needed some attention that they've been working on.
Plywood. Plywood is next.
Keeps changing. Good morning, everybody. In June of this year, 0 citations were issued. However, one stop work order I had to issue for somebody that started a project without a permit. They subsequently obtained the permit, and we doubled the permit fee, which by ordinance, and they paid that, and the permit was posted and the work is continuing. Was over Pleasant Mountain 326. Construction continues on 3 new homes. 2068 Ridgepole, the Jacobsons, 615 West Sugarbush. The builder is the owner right now. It's under contract. It's Randy Hollenbeck. And then 0 Knob Drive, which is the Jim Shosh property. They finally got back to work a few months ago, and they're moving pretty quickly. They had some structural steel, and apparently the sizes were not cut to the correct lengths, and they had to go back and get them again. And anyway, the framing is coming along nicely, and so we're expecting to see that move right along now. There's still 2 potential new home permits that are pending. I'm waiting for the paperwork, one on Saddleback Circle, and then the other one is on Ridgepole. The one on Ridgepole, the contractor is pending the owner or the builder is pending his contractor getting his license. He's not licensed in the state of Georgia. And he should have that in the next 3 or 4 months, hopefully sooner. He's already taken everything that he needs to, he just hasn't taken the final exam.
Are
But
they
he's
still
already-
looking for a contractor? to
Yes,
use?
yeah, he's looking for possibly using the contractor, or just hanging, his shingle underneath there, but there's a lot of liability involved with that, so until that happens, I told him he can't start work. In June of 2025, 12 building permits were issued and 5 tree permits. That's a little bit down from June of 2024 of 16 building permits and 19 tree permits, but caveat is just in the last 14 days of July, it's blown the numbers away. I was out posting some permits early this morning. And so, you know, especially now after the 4th of July, people are back, people are doing renovations, tree cutting, things like that. And again, that has some bearing on this number. 104 permits were issued year to date well, this year, and then 141 same time last year. But again, this is, you know, the curve is going like this now. Just one quick sneak preview in the Sky Valley Times. Part of my contribution this month is there seems to be some confusion in the community about signage. And there was an issue apparently with some real estate signs, open house, somebody removed. I think there was 5 of them. And so I'm putting it out there so people are clear about, you know, what is you know, legal and what's not.
Okay.
Any questions?
No, thank you, Jim, thank you, great report.
See?
Morning.
Morning.
Just to echo, the festivities went great. I mean, it was nothing but compliments from everybody I talked to. And just to add to it, we had no accidents, not even a fender bender reported, no injuries or lost children this year. We had some last year, we had some lost. But we did have a bear that wandered in. I don't know if everybody's seen the video or not, but a bear came down from the old lodge and
Was that staged?
no, if I could have done that, I would have, because Officer Williams and Malone, Coach Bruce back up the hill there. It just looked real confused, but the guys did a great job.
The bear looked real confused, is that what you said?
Yeah, the bear, it was looking around at people like, what's going on here? Yeah. He was early for the fireworks. And Officer Williams on night shift, he found a lost dog last week up on Sky High. People were panicking, couldn't find their inside dog, but he happened to find it and took it back home. So that was a good attaboy for him. I've had some residents approach me about us monitoring traffic. I know this is something I beat to death, but I just want to put some more information out there. I hear a lot of people that what they say is they don't want to be a speed trap like so-and-so or this city. But then I hear from just as many residents talking about how great it is that we're out there monitoring traffic. And that's usually followed by a horror story of them being tailgated up the mountain and then passed in the double yellow or ran off the road. Somebody actually said with that, we need to stop pulling people over for doing 3 and 4 mile an hour over the speed limit. I'm sure that never happens. It doesn't happen. Actually, I went ahead and did the statistics. It's always 15 plus overs before we even make a stop. And that's dangerous. At 15 over in these curves, it's dangerous. But just the last calendar month, which is not the same as the first to the first, but between our 21 cars were stopped doing 15 to 17 over the speed limit. 18 cars were stopped and they were doing 18 to 20 over. And then we actually had the high rollers. We had 4 cars stopped at more than 21 over, the highest being 29 in the 29 over in the 25 zone. I mean, that's so dangerous. I mean, we've got to stay on top of that. And just so everybody's aware, I watched the body cam video from every traffic stop to make sure things are being done correctly by the officers. They're not being disrespectful. And you'd be shocked at how many times you get a thank you walking away from a traffic stop. Anybody's welcome to come watch the videos if you'd like, because you would be shocked at the reactions that we get most of the time. Now, there are always exceptions.
How about the young lady that was confused and had to come talk to you? She said she reminded you of your.
Oh, yeah, little girl stopped. She was coming down the hill and I was sitting up top there. And she pulled right in front of me, so I thought something medical was going on. I think she was all of maybe what 20. I'm not sure the age, but she got out and she was just blubber, just bawling, like, sobbing so bad. And I said, "What's going on? Do you need some help?" And she said, "Yeah, my boyfriend just broke up with me." So then I could just, I took it down to almost the laugh level, but not laughing. And I said, "Well, what can we?" And she talked about it a little bit, what happened and why. And I said, "Well, what can I do for you right now?" And she said, "I'm just afraid to drive down the mountain right now because I'm upset." I said, "Well, what can I do to help you?" She said, "Can I have a hug?" And We hugged it out for a few minutes and then she was able to drive on. Yeah,
Because
that's
that
what
story, I don't.
having so many daughters and granddaughters, it prepared me for that. Yeah, so I knew where I was going with that conversation.
Is that not wonderful?
It made for a good video. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we had our incident last week where the driver coming down the hill here, I don't know if everybody's seen the video or not,
Yes,
but
I sent the video to
he
council.
was flying, we did a calculation by using this fixed point, and Todd Maloney, Officer Maloney did it. And he's estimating it was doing 60 to 65 when it hit the mailbox. So what if one of the ladies are out checking the mail at that, you know?
It
it could've
took
ended
out two of
so
our
bad.
flagpoles too.
Yeah, it took out, just
Yeah.
scissored the flagpole straight off because of the speed, and then off the hill, he went upside down there. Thankfully, he wasn't hurt, and nobody was, but you can't help but what if it to death, you know, if they had been checking the mail, if they had not had a car, if he'd came through the building, so many, and it was speed.
Another car coming up.
Yeah,
You know,
another
it-
car coming up, yeah.
Yeah, oh, right,
Yeah.
yeah. It could have ended so bad, and that's just where my brain automatically goes, is the what if. He was cited for several violation, obviously, for speeding and striking fixed objects, et cetera. I don't know if everybody's seen, I've just seen this last night on the Sky Valley neighborhood page on Facebook, that they had a good video of a bobcat walking down Pleasant Mountain. If you haven't seen it, that's neat. We do have bobcat in the area. I've only seen like 2 since I've been here over the years. But again, with them, we need to be thinking about, like with the bears, don't leave your dog food out and stuff, because that will draw them in. Traditionally, they eat bird squirrels, they do eat meat, bird squirrels, mice. That's where, so if you've got bird feeder out there that's dropping all over the ground, the mice will be eating that thing, they're gonna draw the bobcat in. So we just need to be thinking along those lines and not to draw them in, because they will eat your cat, they will eat your dog if they get the opportunity. So we really don't want them around and make a bunch of noise, scare them off. If you just video them and let them leave, they're probably gonna come back, scare them, make noise, yell at them, try to make them where they won't come in. And I did print out a page from off of DNR, if anybody's interested on more about the bobcats. Okay, Officer Maloney's been working on digitizing all of our forms. Over the years, we've got stacks of paper everywhere, just with stuff we need to fill out. And so far, he just started doing this past month. He's updated 49 paper forms into a digital copy that he put on thumb drives. We can put the thumb drives in our car computer, then we can just go on there and fill them out and forward them by email. So it's saving paper, it's saving time. It's just a whole lot easier. He's also working on a class for August to refresh the officers on, you know, any situations they can come up with. We're trying to do a lot more training than we've done in the past because it's so important. And it works out well because he is a full-time officer and he's instructor trained. And also we got Matt Knoll, who's our part-time officer, does a lot of training. He's certified in specialized training like range, taser. He can train us in the other things that we have to do yearly that Todd hasn't got that training yet to do. And I just was talking with Mr. Fenwick through email. He asked about if the police department could help out with doing a class at the Grace Church or Chapel on active shooter. Apparently we had an incident, I can't remember what state it was, a shooter came into a church and it raised their concern. So I've been talking to Officer Knoll about this, and he's already got several teaching lesson plans already for this. He's already done it in several other churches in the county. He'll do a risk assessment and then he'll give a presentation of what to do, when to do it and how, and things they can deter to keep this from happening in the first place. So we're still working out the details of date and time, but we're getting real close. We're not gonna drag our feet on it because once you think about doing something like that, you drag your feet on it, something bad might happen before you get it done. So we're gonna move on that pretty quick. Probably today we'll get something set up. I've got Officer Williams and Officer Clark. They're both working on applying for law enforcement grants to help get us some updated equipment and stuff. There's a lot of grants out there from the government to state. And they're both working on that together and separately. And I'm trying to develop the team by giving little assignments to each person. And you'd be surprised at how much it's bringing us all closer together as working together, communicating how things are going with the stuff that each officer is trying to do. I've also got Officer Snow, our part-time guy that's working on Maloney's night shift, and Dottie Clark. They're working on an action plan. I've got complaints about the overload, people writing in the graffiti everywhere. But the first thing I've got to do is figure out a way to keep it from happening after we correct it. It's like the broken window effect, if you've ever heard of that. Once something happens, that one window gets broke, the next guy's more apt to break more. It snowballs. So they're working on a plan to deter it from happening again. And we've got several ideas. I just got to run through with Jason and Jerry before we work on the possibility of repainting. We're still on track. We're at exactly half accidents this year compared to last. We're at 15 accidents reported last year. This time we had 30. So we're fingers crossed. I keep hoping that number stays down with the monitoring traffic as we go. We had 95 more public assists, and that's just anything from helping somebody get into their house, into their car, just basic public assist, self-initiated.
Just on hooks, yeah.
Yeah, that is the public assist.
Yeah.
So we're right at 95 more this year than last year, this month. And welfare checks, that's again, self-initiated or possibly a family member in Utah can't get a hold of mom and they want us to go by and check. We've got 30 more those this year. And just basic calls for service for dispatched calls can be anything from an accident to a burglar alarm or anything. We've had 68 more calls this year than last. We're right at 197 calls for service and that's dispatched calls only. And that's all I got. If anybody's got any questions.
Thank you, Chief.
Yes,
Yes, you can make a comment.
I just want to say, I've sort of been talking with the chief a little bit, and I'm very impressed with his handling of situations and things like that. It seems to me that he's doing a really good job, so.
I agree. Great. Thank you, Tony. All right, committee reports, special projects. You need to say anything?
The only thing is, I'd like to do a follow-up critique of Independence Day, things we did real well, things we need to maybe revisit. And then maybe just swerve into Fall Fest.
Yeah, which is when is Fall Fest this year?
I
know it's October, it's what?
October 18th.
October 18th, all right.
So I'll get with you and Sharon to schedule a shout out for that meeting.
Okay.
And other than that, I think it may be time to schedule a cleanup between the front entrance and the junction.
I noticed that the other day.
And other than that, that's all I have.
Thank you, Bruce. No report from Mayor Advisory Committee. Bill, okay, planning and zoning, Dan?
Jason touched on it. Next Tuesday, we will be meeting to discuss a variance request for West Sugar Bush. It's the nature of it is that the buyer of that home is wanting to put in a carport. The lot drops off precipitously.
Yeah.
And he'd like to push it as far forward as he can towards the lot line so that he doesn't have to put in so much more foundation. So that's what that's all about.
Thank you, Dan. All right. New business, we need to consider approval of the amendment to the tree ordinance. This will constitute the second reading, which we have to do before we can even vote on it. Jason, would you please introduce the amendment to the tree ordinance to count as the second reading?
Madam Mayor, Council, those in attendance, the intent of this ordinance, an ordinance to repeal Sky Valley ordinances 1201 and 1406, and to establish an ordinance for the protection and replacement of trees within the city of Sky Valley, as the mayor said. This would be the second reading and adoption, if that's the favor of the mayor and council. This has gone through several versions, updates, planning, public hearing, planning and zoning. you had your first reading introduction last meeting, so, that's where we're at right now.
And I will comment again that P and Z spent months and months studying, looking, researching, to come up with the best amendment possible. Is it perfect? No, but what ordinance is? Do I have anybody, Dan, do you need to make any remarks at this time?
I think I've made them all.
Okay.
And then some.
And then, all right, council remarks or questions at this time?
Madam Mayor, I have
Yes,
I
yes,
have
sir.
a couple of questions about sections 3 and 4.
Okay,
Section 3 is minimum tree density and canopy cover requirements. And I think this is very innovative. And the old method of allowing people to cut 25% of their trees has not worked. And our goal is voluntary compliance. And I don't think we've had that, so I think it is time to try something different. Under section 3A, is all properties within the city shall maintain or achieve a minimum tree density of 130 dBH inches per acre. And the alternative is, we have a minimum canopy cover of 45%. I wish I knew how we were going to measure the 45%, how we're going to make that operational. But I don't have a problem with the 45%. In terms of the 130 dBH inches, I think that's pretty
Easier to calculate.
okay. It is easier to calculate, but it seems like a very low bar to me. And I'm concerned that we're not going to maintain the canopy the way we anticipate doing at that level. And again, I'm not sure what the right number is, but we're a mountain community. We have an arboreal aesthetic, and I think that's something that everybody wants to maintain. So if anybody can give me any help as to where the
I don't
130
see
comes
this,
from.
this ordinance as static. We can always, I always see if it's not working, we can certainly go back and do another amendment. Or do you have another
Or just,
suggestion?
as you say, it can be amended at some future date if we decide that there's too little canopy left. We amend that number.
Yeah, since we're not sure what the number is anyway,
You know,
right?
it's,
What's the maximum number that anyone uses of the ordinances that we've
I
considered?
think, I think it was like 145 or something like that.
That's
Max,
still pretty modest.
it's still modest. Maximum, I think, canopy cover that anybody has come up with has been 50%.
Mhm.
We're at 45, so we're close.
And I think 45 is reasonable. I've done some layouts of lots, and I think you can do it
Oh, yeah.
for 45%.
Yeah.
I'm just concerned that people are gonna have the choice, and so if they really want to do a lot of cutting, they can do a lot of cutting, do a little bit of replanting, or just leave, the bare minimum, so that they don't even have to replant. I mean, 130 dBH is like 10, 13-inch trees left on a 1 acre lot.
Yep.
Half that for a half acre.
Yep.
And that's after, you calculate the net developable area. So,
Jim, would you like
Yeah,
to chime in?
If you don't mind. From a building perspective, building inspector, code enforcement, as you indicated, Jim, this will certainly be easier than the 25% rule that we currently have. But at the end of the day, when I go out to inspect the property and someone has applied for a tree permit, I'll be able to look at this. And like you said, the 45%, you understand, 130 is not a whole lot. I'm gonna make the initial decision. Obviously, and you and I discussed prior to this meeting that they can appeal if they disagree, we can get a second opinion. But another very important concept that we considered as part of the P and Z meetings prior to making what we have now was fire-wise. I think a lot of us were very concerned when we had the fires recently, and I think that this is going to help in that respect. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of acreage out there that is unoccupied, which is, a whole different story. There's not a whole lot of people cutting trees on vacant properties. We also had some residents give us feedback on some of the P and Z meetings. And there's a property actually up on Ridgepole that they cut a lot of trees, but the canopy is still there. And so it's not as thick as, say, across the street. It looks maybe a little more manicured, which some people may not like, but the canopy is there. So they do a lot of limbing up versus cutting the trees, which I suggest, if possible, if the tree is tall enough and they're looking for views. So there's a lot of different parameters that we can consider when doing this. But again, I go back to initially option 1 or option 2. I'm gonna make a suggestion, and before I agree to the permit, we're gonna have to have an agreement. Otherwise, I'm not gonna, give the permit permission. And then we can take that from there. But I don't foresee that being, except maybe a few instances, but we'll have to wait and see.
For the most part, his conversations with the homeowners are gonna resolve these issues. I don't think, I don't think you're gonna create any battles that can't be resolved.
Okay, well, I'm just concerned that, most of the recent construction, I don't think we've been met with voluntary compliance. I think we've overcut and
there
very
have
few
been fines issued. Yeah. Substantial fines have been issued, correct? So,
and some resolved very much in favor of the violator.
in favor of the violator, no.
Yeah.
At their expense.
Anyway, I wanted to mention that. I'd like to see ordinances where, anybody can understand what they're gonna be able to do before they end up doing it. And moving on, we have under section B of section 3, minimum tree density may be achieved by compliant with the following guidelines. And, we can preserve the trees, we can plant new trees, and we cannot remove all the trees. My problem is with item number 4. No trees located within the city public right-of-way may be removed or destroyed by owners of abutting private property. Okay, this clearly has to do with achieving views, and that's one of the things that we want to accomplish so that people can in fact achieve and maintain.
But public right of way is not their property.
Well, public right of way is intended for us to put in a road, to put in sewer lines, put in water lines. It's not necessarily to allow us to continue to maintain trees. We don't maintain those trees. The property owner maintains the trees. The property still belongs to the owner. The city has certain rights regarding it. And I don't see how this, if the other requirements for the canopy and the DBH are adequate, why would this add anything extra? Protection. It seems like it would be nothing but an impediment.
Take it, Jim.
Again, thank you, Jim, Mayor. We have a specific case in point as we speak. The permit has been issued. I had the director of public works come up with me to take a look at some trees in the public right of way down below the homeowner that wants to cut them. And Public Works said actually it was going to help them because, what do you call it? Telemetry, with the water tank in this structure? Yes. It's going to help Public Works, and if this gentleman's doing it at his expense. So this is a specific case that's going to help us out. So there are, and this is not the only isolated case. There have been instances in other cases where either the shade, are with maybe some evergreens, but with snow removal, different circumstances. I always, whenever it comes to the right of way, I always get Public Works involved because at the end of the day, they need to make the decision because they're the ones that have to keep this area clear. So you're making a good point, but I think I like the way it's written out just because of that. Maybe we can tweak it, but I wouldn't want to see it removed entirely.
How would you tweak it?
Well, I said maybe.
Yeah.
Jim, you brought it up.
We look at those issues by case.
Case by case,
Yeah.
we look at case.
That's-
Yeah.
that's-
So this tree interferes
Well-
with the telemetry, broadcast.
What Jim is referring to is that we're using a solar panel to power the telemetry.
Yeah.
And of course, you need that clear access.
Right.
And because of some of the tree foliage canopy around there, we were having some issues where we weren't getting the full power that we need.
Mhm.
So we were looking to actually have a tree company come out and do some topping there at the city's expense, and it just so happened that this homeowner said, it would help my view a little bit if that was topped, and it just wound up being a win-win situation.
Yeah, that's
It
a,
helped their view, but it also helped us have the clear sight distance
Right.
or the clear for the light.
Yeah.
So there are case by case scenarios. Another example would be, our city attorney has told us that if we have a tree in the right of way, for example, that if it's imminent, that it's a danger, that there's some certain liabilities that we may be exposed to. However, with that being said, we have homeowners, for example, that may say, I'm concerned about this tree falling and hitting my house. Well, if it's in the right of way, if we don't see this as imminent danger, then there's no more risk than the other tree that may fall. However, we have worked with homeowners in the past to say, well, if you really feel like that it's gonna be beneficial at your expense, if you wanna have it professionally removed and taken out. So that's when I say case by case. There are, and we probably have half a dozen of those a year, maybe, Jim. It's fairly rare, but,
Yeah. well, that's the way I would expect the city to resolve any kind of dispute or make
Dilemma.
any kind of decision.
Yeah.
But the literal meaning, no trees located within the city public right of way may be removed or destroyed by owners of abutting private property. We've got other provisions in the ordinance that if you're trying to get a view, you get the other guy's permission. He has to sign off on the application as well as the applicant and as well as the contractor.
And then what these two are
So-
saying is that on public right of way, the city is signing off on it.
If you want to modify,
Ah.
just add the verbiage,
With that,
can't do it without city
City
approval.
can we, with that,
That's the
Just-
tweak.
yeah,
That-
Yeah, okay. Okay, so there's no real intent here to make the tree ordinance more complicated because we're not really trying to preserve trees in the right
Trust
of
me, we
way.
work very
just
hard
have
to
an interest.
uncomplicate the tree ordinance.
what section are you talking about that we would add?
Right here.
3B4,
3B4, okay,
yeah.
Are you following that, Karen?
Is it without city approval?
yeah, without
Without
city
city.
approval, right.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
And do we need a motion to add that, or? we're
When we
just-
do a motion,
we're
yes.
just adding, okay.
Are you through with your
Oh, okay,
discussion, Jim?
I'm gonna move on.
Okay, move on.
Um, Down below that, section C, calculations. Section C, small letter C, a portion of DBH inches from approved trees located within the right of way may be counted towards the minimum density requirement. And a portion just seems vague. Why don't we just count it? A portion is something less than 100%, something more than zero, could be anywhere from 1% to 99%. And that's vague. And if we could fix that now, I think.
Guess I have a problem with that. Guess
Do you want to put in a number or?
No, I think the intent was that if portion of the tree of that canopy in the right of ways is going over the roadway, it's not on the property and shouldn't be counted as that portion of the canopy for that property. What, on any given tree, what is that portion?
Yeah.
So,
So
Moving target.
something over 50%. Probably. I mean, if it's on the right of way
again,
and it shapes the road or the
He-
adjacent
He's
property.
not gonna be so rigid as to, put a specific number on it and say, okay, well, this portion of the tree is covering the highway or the road. So it's not part of your 45%
It
canopy.
says on the city right away, right?
Mhm. Well,
Okay, so
but if,
again, it's a city approval.
Right.
yeah,
So do we want to add the phrase without city approval? Or with city approval, or how you want to say it?
No less than half of the DBH inches.
I think you're complicating it more. than
Yeah.
necessary.
Yeah,
I would just leave it.
I agree with that.
Okay,
Leave it.
okay, well. I think I understand the explanation. And, that's acceptable and rational to me.
Okay.
So I think that's. So
Good.
with that understanding,
Okay,
going down to section E for replacement trees. Number 3, at least 85% of trees selected for planting must be large or medium-sized canopy trees. Is that 85% of the number of trees or 85% of the canopy? Or,
It relates to species, right?
Species, yeah. So it'd be a number of trees.
Number of trees, but they have to be the right species that are gonna create a canopy.
okay, so we're talking oaks and hickories and things like that. What about, or are dogwoods, mountain laurels, and cherries considered small, or are they considered medium?
They're, they're medium-sized trees, I think, but do I have those, a list off the top of my head? No,
Yeah, there was
but there's a
an
whole.
arborist standard that you
Yeah, there
mentioned.
there is, the extension service, the University of Georgia has what is that, a 90-page, 96-page?
Yes, yeah,
Uh,
very thick.
It's very detailed document of what are native trees in Georgia and what their characteristics are
Okay,
and so forth. So,
and do we want them to be native trees?
yeah, because we want them to be able to grow here.
Right.
Right,
And,
Right.
are all native trees in Georgia suitable here? No. But again, that list gives the characteristics of the tree and where they're native.
I have yet to have anyone ask me for something exotic that is not indigenous to the
Okay.
area. I mean, it's the hickories, the poplars, the oaks, the maples, you know, and so it, I
Yeah,
think just common sense, but
yeah.
again, your verbiage case by case.
Okay, and the reason I mention it is that, you know, when people are taking out trees to get views and they're gonna replant, so it doesn't look bare. You know, to me, dogwoods and mountain laurels and cherries are well established in Sky Valley. They're beautiful. They serve a lot of purposes, including not growing up into the view. Okay. And moving on to section 4, A1, we're talking about the property owner marking the trees with the ribbon or the tape. And the alternative to that is to arrange a meeting with the city building inspector and the contractor to go over the proposed application. And the applicant must designate on the sketch which tree is to be cut, trimmed, and topped, and show where it is relative to the property line. I think the provision ought to be that if the homeowner can't mark the trees, then the contractor has to mark the trees to the satisfaction of the building inspector. Because we recently had an incident over on Pleasant Mountain whereby the guy told the contractor which ones to do. The contractor ends up cutting down the wrong trees, and there was almost a lawsuit. So I think the only way to make sure that the contractor is going to cut the trees is not just tell him or point them out, but to have him mark them so everybody can see that he understands and everybody agrees.
I think we can simplify that, just the trees need to be marked.
Yeah, exactly.
However you get it done.
However you get it done.
Yeah,
I would just point out that this entire page
yes.
is in your existing ordinance.
Okay, well,
That hasn't been changed.
and
There is.
I'm saying it should be changed because it's caused problems in the past.
Jim, if I may, I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah,
That homeowner that had the tree cut did it and sold the house and he's long gone.
yeah, right.
Something like that. And I mean, it's just my opinion and my gut instinct, but I really don't think that he told the guy the wrong tree. I think he told him exactly which tree to cut. Based on my interaction with this guy, he was ready to sell the house, which I didn't know at the time.
Yeah.
Because this all happened before he didn't get a permit. This tree was cut without my permission. And it was the neighbor on his property who notified me and says, hey, this guy cut a tree on my property. And I went out there and but anyway, what I was gonna say is, and I've done this back when my predecessor Bob Powers was here, because I've got a precipitously steep lot, as Dan would say. And I couldn't get down, and my contractor, I mean, obviously had to get down when they finally cut the trees. But I take pictures, and I've suggested this to some people, I still do, as of last week. Take a picture, well, most people are digital phone, and then print that out and take a Sharpie and show me that way I can walk up on the deck and say, okay, I see exactly which tree this is. And that's worked out very, very well. So as far as marking it, yeah, I mean, you know, they could go through the extra effort, but it's a step that we can leave out just for time for some of these contractors.
Well, how about we just say something to the fact, trees to be removed need to be marked prior to cutting. And then you mark them any way you want.
Specifically identified.
Yeah.
Specifically identified.
Physically identified, yeah.
Okay, so.
Because I
Trees to be removed.
I've got ones who, most of you know this, residence up on Wildbird that wants to cut down, I can't tell you how many trees. And I was up there with the resident and she pointed out that tree, it's like looking across the street and pointing at trees. I said,
Yeah,
"No."
yeah.
In that case, you have got to have a ribbon around it or I'm not approving anything.
So, but
So this
this
is
states it
considered-
would take care of that.
But it's already in, really.
It is.
It says right
It is.
here, it says that, either mark each tree by placing a colored ribbon around it, or arrange to meet with the city building inspector and the contractor on the site to do it. I mean, it's.
And that is working.
It's
For me,
pretty good.
So it's working?
yes.
Okay,
It ain't broke, don't fix it.
Right.
Okay.
So we're leaving it like it is. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Keep it straight, Karen.
So we're not gonna add any language?
I don't think you need to. It's working right now.
Jim, I haven't allowed anybody to cut any trees that weren't identified by me or marked. I have not allowed it. In the case you referenced, like I said, I think that there was something devious behind that, and it was before I even knew anything about it. So I think that's an exception. And the guy was fine, I mean, so obviously there's gonna be exceptions, but that's
Okay.
one in the 2.5 years that I've been here that I'm aware of.
Okay,
Okay,
That's it?
that's it.
that's it.
All right.
Okay.
Any other comments or questions?
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you, Jim. All right, since we've now had the first and second reading of this amendment, I will need a motion to approve this amendment to our tree ordinance, adding the verbiage to 3B4 without city approval.
I will make that motion.
Thank you, Dan.
And I'll
Second.
second that motion.
Thank you,
Okay,
Jim.
give it
And
to Jim.
Bruce.
Give it to Jim. Jim second.
All right, I'm Jim says, it.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, all in favor of approving this motion, signify with aye.
Aye.
Okay, it was unanimous. The amendment is approved. Okay, next we need to talk about consider adoption of an annexation and rezoning ordinance for Mr. Larry Turlington. This will constitute the first reading, so we do not have to vote. Jason, if you will please present an overview of this request for annexation and rezoning by Mr. Turlington to serve as our first reading.
Gladly, Madam Mayor. Before I begin, Mr. Turlington reached out to me yesterday. He is under the weather. I advised him that this being the first reading, that it really wouldn't be that critical for him to be here. But he does make every effort, plans to make every effort to be here for the second reading, which would be the adoption. I'm gonna read this first reading and then I'm gonna discuss this a little bit. We'll go from there. In order to provide for the annexation of land to the existing corporate limits of the city of Sky Valley, Georgia, to provide for the zoning classification for such annexed property, to amend the official zoning map of the city of Sky Valley to reflect annexation and zoning, to provide notice of the approved annexation to the Georgia Department of Community Affairs in Rabun County, as well as a legislative and congressional reappointment office of the General Assembly, to provide for an effective date for ad valorem tax and other purposes, to limit the zoning of the property annexed to a higher density or intensity for a specified period and for other purposes. To begin, from our best research, I think it's been probably 20 years or more since we had an annexation. I don't know if, kind of scroll up a little bit, but hopefully everybody's had a chance to go out and see this. This did go before the P and Z board public hearing. But as you look at this map here, Sky, right in here, this piece of property is right in this area right here. Obviously, it's white because it's in the county, but it is contiguous to the yellow, which is the single family residential. There is some property next to it, just for future reference. We may see future requests in the future. However, Mr. Turlington has owned this property for many years. It's approximately 1 acre and it's wooded, and he would like to sell the property. It already fronts on the city maintained road. We have city water lines there. So for all intents and purposes, it really makes sense for it to be brought into the city. It is consistent with our future land use map. There's no inconsistencies with the county as far as their future land use map. We are still awaiting something in writing from the county. We'll need that by a second reading. I've mentioned, I believe earlier, I've got verbal commitment that there's no concerns there that should not be
From the county.
from the county. but I just have not received that. We really just need to have that by second reading, so they've got some time to get that to us, but, it is a little bit of a process, obviously, when you're annexing. And by second reading also, I would like to say that, this map has not been updated since 2005, 20 years. Again, there hasn't been need for that, so by second reading next month, the plan is, I've already reached out to Faith with GMRC. We're going to present you all a freshly updated map. And so when you adopt this ordinance and approve this annexation, thinking positive, we'll also have you adopt the updated map. So we'll have that on file. I think that's important to have that. But other than that, the plan is it's my understanding he wishes to sell the property. He is aware of the 1750 site built requirements. And I think it would be a great asset to the city if brought in. So, again, Mr. Trump is not here. I've had several conversations with him. I'm fairly confident. I'm fairly representing his intent, but again, he should be here for the second meeting of adoption.
Dan, would you give the recommendation from P and Z?
I would. We did look at this in our last meeting. I would point out that this property has no access other than via Sky High Drive.
Right.
The back of his property abuts another piece of county property, and he has no access that way. So, he's got to utilize our roads anyhow. So, the P and Z looked at this, we were unanimous and that it should be, that we would recommend to the council that this be approved.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the council?
Just to say that, yeah, I agree with everything Dan said. So the question is, why don't we annex everything up to the state line? Why, I mean.
Typically, that would probably require us to do some amendments to some of our ordinances. Most of the time, when cities annex property, it's to extend services, water, et cetera. Right now, even though we do have water there, some of that property is pretty steep. You probably would have, with that being said, you probably would have larger lots anyway to do development. If there's, and some of this property also accesses, some county right of way, but, usually there's a leverage point, I guess, for lack of a better word, that kind of facilitates an annexation. In this particular situation, it just, he could put a well and septic there if he wanted to, but the fact that he wanted to access city water,
Yeah.
it just made sense. But I do suspect, there is a 2-acre piece that's right next to this piece. I have not spoken with that property owner, but apparently Mr. Turlington has. And it's my understanding that they may be looking to come forward at some time in the near future for the same benefit, for the protection of the city zoning, the access to the water, the services, et cetera, et cetera. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, there are some pieces here. I have had some conversation with the county. They have indicated they are a little leery sometimes about annexations, because obviously they want to protect their interests too, but, they're going to continue to receive property taxes either way, so, but, but to answer your question, Mr. Curtis, we do have, pockets that go up to the state line. I would typically refer to this as infield. At some time in the future, there may be some situations where, it may make sense to do that annexation. Most of the time, though, it's the owner that wishes to do that. We have other county properties. I don't want to get off on a tangent or off that field, but we have other properties that are in the county that abut the city that, the city is growing. There's no secret there. There are things that we can provide that are very desirable to people, that nothing against the county, but we have water, we're fixing to have sewer. we have police protection, we have a lot of things here now, again, very desirable, so we may very much see, much more requests in the very near future. But this is where we're at now.
Okay.
Okay.
Anybody else? I don't think anybody online has any comments. All right. So we will consider this to be our first reading. And as I said before, it requires 2 readings before we can vote on it, which we can talk about at our next meeting. So let's move on to other business, and that's the public forum. I don't see that anybody is in need of making comments at this point, so let's move on to our executive session. We do not need to go into executive session due to no issues in reference to real estate personnel or litigation. So with that being said, Mr. Allred, take it.
Well, Mayor, having, this council having, thoughtfully and admirably evaluated every item on our agenda, I would move that we adjourn.
Second?
I'll second that.
Okay, admirably, you will.
Admirably.
You will be second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. It is, so let you do.
It's a wrap.
Let's be